Jenna's birthday present should be $500. If you could send it to me as e-money, that would be great. It's amazing how you can transfer money without leaving your home these days, right? I'm glad it won't be a burden on you either.
For Jenna's 5th birthday, we were asked to give her cash. Apparently, it was her own request because she's into saving money. From then on, I've been sending money for her birthdays and for when she started school. Her mother, Sarah, seems pleased, but I can't help but wonder if Jenna really wants the cash. One day, Jenna returned with the family and invited me to draw with her.
Grandma, let's draw.
She scribbled with a sense of urgency, not really enjoying herself. She drew stick figures and 6 circles. It wasn't well drawn or cute. I didn't know what to say. So what's this?
A ghost.
It looked like a child's random doodle, but there was something eerie about it. It was laced with a chilling meaning. I'm Mary Smith, 62. My husband passed away 5 years ago, and I now live alone in a house in the countryside. My only son lives an hour's drive away with his wife and child. They used to visit once or twice a month, but recently, I only see them once a year. This is because my son, Ethan, was transferred abroad. Sarah and I get along well, but visiting her in-laws without Ethan must be exhausting. A new barbecue place opened up near my place. How about we go eat there together? 6 months into Ethan's transfer, I called Sarah and invited her out. She sounded excited.
Oh, barbecue. I'd love to.
But then her voice trailed off.
Unfortunately, I have plans during all the weekends this month. Oh wow, even my weekends for next month. I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid I can't make it.
Sarah sounded apologetic. I didn't push it. Jenna was now 3 and starting kindergarten, so she was probably busy. But then, despite repeated attempts, I couldn't meet Sarah and Jenna. Even when I suggested delivering Jenna's birthday present directly, Sarah asked me to mail it instead.
Sorry, all weekends are packed this month. Just send a present, and that'll be fine.
When it was confirmed that Ethan would indeed be going abroad, I wanted to support Sarah as she'd be raising Jenny alone, but we couldn't even meet. I sensed I was a burden by reaching out, so I decided to quietly support Sarah from a distance. Ethan returns home once a year, and the family of 3 comes to visit. I look forward to that day all year. A few days before Jenna's 5th birthday, Sarah called me. It was probably a request for a birthday present. I'd always delivered on her requests, so Jenna was surely pleased. Last year, I gave her a light blue bike and a plushie of her favorite cartoon character. Now that she was turning 5, I was eager to see what she'd be interested in.
About Jenna's birthday this year.
Just as I expected, a request for a present. I waited eagerly for her next words.
Jenna doesn't want toys. She'd rather have money.
What? Money?
Yeah, she's a bit of an oddball, huh?
Sarah chuckled awkwardly.
Her hobby is saving money. So, if you could give her cash this year, that'd be great. Sorry for the trouble.
Giving cash to a 5-year-old didn't feel very meaningful. But if her hobby was saving, I guess that's what she wanted. Got it. Jenna's got a good head on her shoulders. It's probably thanks to your parenting, Sarah.
No, no, not at all.
Sarah is a pleasant and cheerful person. I'm sure she treats little Jenna with kindness and care. So would around $100 be fine for spending money? By the way, does Jenna still like that character? I was thinking of sending a little something along with it. I asked casually. Sarah immediately raised her voice.
No, she doesn't need that.
Unlike her usual tone, she seemed frustrated, which made me catch my breath. It didn't sound like the always smiling Sarah.
Oh, she's done with that character now. No gifts, just $500 is fine, really. No need to worry.
Sarah quickly returned to her usual cheerful voice. It's true that giving unwanted character merchandise might be inconvenient for them. I realized my mistake and tried to brush it off. $500. That seemed a little too much for a 5th birthday gift.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. I'd hate to have you go out of your way to shop for toys, so you can just send the money via e-money. It's so convenient these days to transfer money without leaving your house. I'm just glad it's not a burden for you.
Her bright tone left me unable to respond. A quick tap on my smartphone, and the money is sent. Sure, it's convenient, but it's a little sad that this is supposed to be a birthday present. Apparently, Jenna has grown into a sensible child and is now in her final year of preschool. It feels like she just started, but kids grow up so fast. Right after starting her final year, Sarah reached out again.
Oh, how are you doing, Mary? You're not catching a cold, are you?
Sarah is very thoughtful, and it's always nice to hear from her. I'm fine. How about you and Jenna?
Yes, we're both doing great, thank you. I wanted to ask you a favor.
She sounded a little hesitant.
I was hoping you could give Jenny a school bag as a gift.
Oh, a school bag for Jenna. Sure, I'd love to.
Wonderful. Jenna will be thrilled.
Jenna is my only grandchild. So naturally, I wanted to gift her the school bag. I felt bad that Sarah had to ask, not knowing she had planned to buy it so ahead of the school year. How about I come to visit, and we can pick out the bag together?
Oh.
Sarah hesitated, and I had a bad feeling.
It's from this old brand that just takes reservations, no need to go to a department store. It's all good, no need for you to come out of your way. Glad it won't be too much trouble for you.
It's less than an hour's drive to Sarah's house. I don't feel burdened at all. But Sarah was just being thoughtful about her in-laws. With such a considerate daughter-in-law, I couldn't be selfish and insist on coming.
So, the bag is about $2,000.
What?
Sorry, it's pricey, hey? But that's the norm for school bags these days.
When I last checked, the usual range for a bag was around $500, but I guess it can be over $1,000 if it's from a well-known workshop. Even so, $2,000.
I just want Jenna to have something good that she can use for a long time. It would be amazing if Grandma could give it to her.
With so many daughters-in-law avoiding their mothers-in-law, Sarah is willing to rely on me. I believed we had a good relationship. But at the end of that year, I started having lingering doubts. Ethan returned home briefly and brought his family to visit. Jenna, You're about to start first grade, right? Did you get the school bag you liked?
Uh-huh. A big sister nearby gave me her pink bag. I wanted a light blue one, though.
When I asked casually, Jenna's expression darkened. Sarah quickly tried to cover it up.
No, it's not like that, Mary. The bag we ordered hasn't arrived yet. The neighbor's middle schooler just happened to have a pink bag in good condition, so they gave it to us to have just for now.
But, Mom, you told me to settle for the pink one.
Jenna started to say but fell silent. I couldn't see Sarah's face as she looked down at Jenna, but something about Jenna's uneasy expression made my chest tighten. After the new year came, Jenna was in elementary school before we knew it. In a photo Ethan sent, Jenna was wearing a pink school bag. Apparently, it was a photo that Sarah had sent to Ethan from the first day of school. I wondered where the light blue school bag Jenna wanted had gone. When I asked Sarah about it, she casually said, "It just hasn't arrived yet. It's really inconvenient, isn't it?" Not sounding concerned at all. A small seed of doubt began to grow in my mind. For both Jenna's 6th and 7th birthdays, they requested cash again. But only giving money seemed dull, so I mailed a set of fancy stationery, and Jenna was so excited that her voice was bright even over the phone.
Thanks, Grandma. The cute pencils match my friends. I really wanted these. I'm going to take them to school.
It was a relief to see her acting like a normal kid. When she thanked me for the cash, it seemed like she was reciting a scripted response, which was a stark contrast.
Thanks for the poet money, Grandma.
There was no excitement in her voice, almost robotic. Was Jen really over the childish characters and into saving money instead of wanting things? If not, it meant Sarah was lying. But no way. I couldn't help but suspect, but maybe cash isn't so bad after all. No more toys, no more character-themed stuff. I've heard a lot of parents think that way. Sarah might just be practical. Then the long-awaited end of the year arrived. Ethan returned home briefly, and the family of 3 came to visit. Sarah remembered my favorite treat and brought pudding as a gift.
Hi, Grandma. How have you been? We've been looking forward to seeing you.
Such a thoughtful daughter-in-law and polite granddaughter. I'm lucky to have such a wonderful family. But something seemed off. Sarah and Jenna's smiles felt a bit forced. Since I only see them once a year, maybe the psychological distance was making things awkward, I told myself. I spent time with Jenna playing Monopoly and card games I had prepared. When Jenna lost at Old Maid, she gritted her teeth and threw a tantrum, surprising me.
Ah, Grandma, I didn't want you to win. I wanted to win.
But what surprised me even more was how she suddenly fell silent, as if realizing something. She glanced at Sarah, who was drinking tea at the table, then relaxed when she saw her mother was busy with her phone. Jenna is only in 1st grade. It's natural for her to cry when she loses a game.
Sorry, Grandma. Next time, I'm going to win.
She was behaving well, but it didn't seem quite right. When I gave her juice, She glanced at Sarah before saying, "Thanks, Grandma. I'll have some." It seemed like Jenna looked for Sarah's reaction before doing anything. After dinner, Sarah and Ethan decided to head to the convenience store. Sarah had her period come unexpectedly, and Ethan said he'd grab some beer while they were out. Sarah was persistent about bringing Jenny along, but Jenna went to the bathroom, saying she had a stomach ache. So Sarah and Ethan left together.
Grandma, Mom and Dad left.
Jenna peeked out of the bathroom right after, without even flushing the toilet. "They did. Didn't you want to go?"
No, it's okay.
Jenna seemed like she wanted to say something and looked into my eyes. "What's wrong?" I crouched down to ask, but she bit her lip and looked away. Maybe she just felt awkward being alone with me, since we didn't see each other often. As I worried, Jenna gave me a smile.
Grandma, let's draw.
Without waiting for my response, Jenna took some blank paper and a pencil from her bag. She immediately started sketching by herself. She drew a little girl. A girl with solid black eyes and a straight mouth, no expression. No ribbon in her hair, and a stick figure for a body. It seemed sloppy and lacked the charm you'd expect from a 7-year-old's drawing. "Is this you?"
Yeah.
When we drew together before, her drawings weren't this rough. She didn't look like she was having fun, and her pencil strokes seemed rushed. After finishing the stick figure, Jenna looked straight at me. It wasn't well drawn, nor cute. I couldn't find the right words. In silence, Jenna gripped her pencil again. "What's this then?" Around the stick figure Jenna, she drew 6 circles, each with solid black eyes and a straight mouth.
These kids. They're ghosts."
"Ghosts? Are they your friends, Jenna?" It looked like a random doodle, but there was something eerie about it.
They're not friends. They're my family.
Jenna looked at me as if she was testing me. Could it just be a little kid's wild imagination? I thought a gentle pat on her head with the "oh, your family" might reassure her, but Jenna's unwavering gaze froze me.
Grandma?
She seemed to be pleading. As I stared at the rough drawing, a dark thought crossed my mind. Wait, does this mean? Could this drawing be an SOS sign from Jenna? "It's okay. Grandma's on your side. If something's wrong, you can tell me." Usually, Jenna is a well-behaved kid, but now she glared at me with a wary look like a stray dog. I really felt like she was testing me. I was scared but couldn't take my eyes off her. And then, Jenna finally spoke.
Grandma, help me.
The moment she said those words, her eyes filled with tears. She was probably trying to figure out if I was someone she could trust. It breaks my heart that a 7-year-old who should be innocent would feel the need to question even her own grandmother. "Okay, I understand. Can you tell Grandma what happened?" Jenna fought back her tears as she spoke.
Mom loves someone other than Dad. But that person said he'd drag Mom down to hell. But, Grandma, What should I do?
Her voice cracked, and her words faltered. Still, she managed to convey the unbelievable truth. No way, that can't be. My voice got a little too firm, and Jenna shrank back.
I'm sorry.
Jenna hadn't done anything wrong, but was scared just because my voice got louder. She apologized so quickly that it made me realize she wasn't living the life of a typical child. I hugged her tightly and reassured her, saying, "It's okay, it's okay. Jenna is a sharp kid." After crying a little against my chest, she glanced up at the clock on the wall, wiped her tears, and said quietly,
Mom and Dad will be back soon.
Jenna pulled herself together and went to bed immediately when Sarah and Ethan returned, claiming she was sleepy. She did this to hide her puffy red eyes. "Want to sleep with Grandma?" I wanted to hear more, so I offered, but Sarah quickly stepped in.
Gosh, Mary, Jen is a first grader now. It's embarrassing to sleep with Grandma.
Sarah laughed and looked to Jenna for agreement.
Right, Jenna? It's embarrassing, huh?
Yeah, I'm a first grader, so I'll sleep by myself.
Sarah seemed like an attentive mother who understood her child well. I had never doubted her before. But now, something about her felt too overbearing. Looking back, Sarah is a little overprotective, hardly leaving Jenna's side. But she doesn't seem particularly interested in Jenna. She is just watching to make sure she doesn't say something unnecessary. The next day, Sarah sat nearby while Jenna and I drew, but she was glued to her phone, not saying a word. "You're good at drawing, Jenna."
Thanks. I love drawing.
We had these small conversations now and then, and before I knew it, 2 hours had passed. Sarah hadn't once checked on Jenna, staring at her phone for 2 whole hours. I was surprised by how quickly time flew by, but I felt a strange, unsettled mix of shock and anger at Sarah's utter indifference toward Jenna. Still, I was glad to have spent some quiet time with her. Ethan had left to run an errand for me. Jenna and I sat with our backs to Sarah and filled sheet after sheet of paper. Ethan's family was supposed to stay for one more night, but he suddenly had to return to his post overseas. They left my place in a hurry.
Bye, Grandma. See you.
Jenna waved shyly. Sarah seemed relieved to cut the visit short, almost like mission accomplished.
Oh, it's such a shame. I wanted more of your delicious cooking, Mary.
Sarah, you're quite the smooth talker.
Oh, come on, it's not just flattery.
Sarah really does have a silver tongue. If not for my conversation with Jenna, I'd still believe she was a good person. I couldn't help but see her smile as a cheap mask. Determined to expose her, I saw my son's family off with a big smile. Jenna looked back at me with a worried expression, but there was no need to be concerned. I'd see her again soon. The next afternoon, Ethan left for the airport alone. Sarah and Jenna were left behind at their apartment.
Jenna, Mommy's friend is coming over today. He's very important to Mommy, so you better behave.
Sarah, seen from the other side of a certain screen, seemed to be in a good mood. She was busy fixing her hair and touching up her mascara. Soon, the doorbell rang. Without checking who it was, Sarah dashed to the door.
I've been waiting.
She practically skipped as she greeted her friend. The man entered the room and shot Jenny a sly grin.
Hey Jenna, let's be good to each other.
Jenna glared defiantly at the man. With an exaggerated friendliness, he put on a fake smile.
Jenna, no need to look so scary. I'm Mommy's friend. Let's have some fun together, okay?
His voice was gentle as he approached her, but it suddenly lowered as he threatened her.
How long are you gonna keep that face up? If you don't behave, Mommy will go straight to hell, and it'll be your fault, Jenny.
Jenna trembled.
So, why don't we play?
That's great, Jenna. Let him play with you. Oh, wait, 30 grand up front.
Always so thorough.
I couldn't just stand by anymore. I threw open the closet door where I had been hiding and ran into the living room where Jenna waited. What are we playing? Grandma wants to join too. Jenna sat with her knees up, hugging herself protectively. Seeing me, her tense expression relaxed, and she ran to me. Sarah couldn't grasp the situation and kept looking back and forth between the man and me, completely flustered.
What? How?
It was only natural that she was shocked to see her mother-in-law in her home. Sarah hadn't even gotten angry and just stood there dumbfounded.
Who the heck is this old hag?
I'm no old hag. I'm Jenna's grandma. So what are we playing, mister? Tea party, drawing. The man stepped back to put some distance between us. He looked confused, probably by the crazy grandma who had barged in. I wrapped an arm around Jenna's shoulder as she clung to my leg and gave her a reassuring smile. Then I looked up and wiped away my smile. I leaned in and stared into the man's eyes with an intense gaze. Or are you planning to make a child join in some adult games? From my purse, I pulled out a few sheets of paper. They were covered in writing. While pretending to draw with Jenna during her visit, we had actually been writing to each other the whole time. Jenna told me what was happening at home through written messages. Sarah never bothered to check what we were drawing, so Jenna and I had an entire conversation in writing. Even though I couldn't find a moment to be alone with Jenna, as long as we didn't speak aloud, it wouldn't be discovered. Ignoring the confused looks from Sarah and the man, I pressed on. Jenna told me how she was threatened that if she didn't play with you, her mom would end up in hell. She knew that this so-called play wasn't going to be as innocent as a tea party, even if she didn't fully understand it. She was scared and didn't want to play, but she was worried something terrible would happen to her mom if she didn't. Jenna's been burdened by this overwhelming fear for a long time. Sarah, you need to explain yourself. Sarah's eyes darted around as she searched for an excuse. Her usual kind demeanor vanished, and she stammered.
Well, no, it was just a tea party.
If you didn't play, you'd end up in hell.
Well, I never said anything like that. Maybe Jenna is making something up.
Sarah tried to feign ignorance, but my presence there made it impossible for her to lie her way out of this. I've been here for hours. I heard everything. I saw everything. I spoke slowly, and Sarah turned pale. It would be terrifying to know your mother-in-law had snuck into your house without you knowing.
That's impossible.
Sarah looked like a victim, but she was no victim at all. The impossible thing here is you. I heard you call this man right after Ethan left. I was listening. Sarah and the man shared an uneasy look. Jenna was gently encouraged to go to another room. The smart Jenna quietly complied. With her out of sight, I could now pursue them with no reservations. You were planning to sell Jenna for 30 grand, weren't you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sarah immediately denied it. So I quickly shot back. I recorded everything.
What?
Sarah had started making calls with glee right after Ethan left for his overseas post. The conversation was so cruel that it made me want to cover my ears. Even without listening to the recordings, her voice replayed itself in my mind.
Hey, my husband went back overseas. Come by Jenna right away. You'll pay me 30 grand, right? You promised. This will clear my debt. Oh, and don't get too serious with the kid. I'm still your number one.
The idea of a mother selling her daughter to pay off her debt left me breathless. I fought the urge to rush out and help Jenna. And then I waited for the moment where there could be no excuses. I pointed at the envelope sticking out of Sarah's pocket. What's in the envelope in your pocket? She had shoved the envelope into her pocket in a hurry when I emerged from hiding. The man had just handed it to her. I had caught a glimpse of several $20 bills when she was checking its contents.
I don't know.
Feigning ignorance wasn't going to work here. With a sigh, I continued. I also recorded it and filmed it.
What?
Sarah wobbled as if she might faint. There was no way I'd forgive Sarah for what she had done to Jenna. Tears roll down Sarah's cheeks as she feels lost and hopeless. She sobbed and pleaded.
Mary, you're wrong. No, I'm sorry. It was my fault. I do have debt, so I thought I had no choice but to offer Jenna. I was completely wrong. I'm sorry.
Realizing there was no way to hide it, Sarah tried to manipulate me with her tears. The one she should apologize to isn't me, but Jenna. She's just trying to brush off the whole situation. What did you go into debt for?
For designer stuff.
I glanced around the room. There were no designer items in sight, and neither Sarah nor the room was flashy. Tell me the truth. Sarah stammered. As I waited for an answer, a voice came from behind.
For hospital bills.
It was Jenna. Standing with her back straight and a determined look on her face. She was listening from the other room where she'd been waiting. Unable to contain herself any longer, Jenna dashed out.
For hospital bills, right, Mom?
Jenna and I locked our eyes on Sarah and didn't let her go. Sarah grimaced in pain, and her legs shook. After a while, she stomped the floor with her right foot, throwing a tantrum. I hugged Jenna and protected her from the outburst.
Oh, come on. It's for the hospital bills. What's wrong with that? So, if you care about Jenna, you should pay 30 grand to Mary. Every time I ask you for money, you always act so reluctant. That's why I had no choice but to sell Jenna. This is all your fault for holding back.
Sarah's true nature was revealed. The mother Jenna struggled to protect was screeching like a child throwing a fit. Jenna silently watched her mother's ugly display. The money I gave for Jenna's birthday and her school bag, you spent it, didn't you?
Is it wrong for a parent to manage the money?
It is. Sarah tried to laugh it off, but I shut her down firmly. Her smug grin faded, and she fell silent. If you told me up front it was for hospital bills, I would have given you the money, but I bet you were there for reasons you didn't want to admit. Now she just sulked and refused to speak. Jenna, at 7 years old, was more mature than her mother. Living thoughtlessly and fulfilling only her own desires must have made Sarah incredibly selfish. By hospital, you mean the OBGYN, right? To get rid of the life inside you. Jenna's drawing of a stick figure surrounded by 6 circles. The 6 circles represented those lost lives. If I had reacted poorly or gotten angry when I saw that drawing, Jenna probably would have clammed up. But because I wanted to understand her and figure out what it meant, she recognized me as an adult she could trust.
Grandma, they're my little brothers and sisters. You can't see them, but they're still here.
That's right. I'm so sorry, Jenna. Jenna turned back to Sarah and asked quietly,
Don't say that. If I'm not a good girl, you'll end up in hell with my little brothers.
In truth, Sarah often left Jenna behind and went out to party. She had been enjoying a carefree lifestyle, taking advantage of Ethan's overseas posting. Sometimes she'd come home briefly in the morning or evening, just to hand Jenny a packed lunch or instant noodles. But Sarah maintained appearances well and always participated in school events, so no one thought the family had any problems. Even though she was out most of the time, she occasionally stayed home for about a week at a time.
I was so happy when she stayed with me, but she was also sick and irritable. When I tried to talk to her, she said, I'm tired because I just gave birth to your little brother or sister. She said having a baby is really expensive. And when I asked where the baby was,
Jenna bit her lip. I'd heard what Sarah had said back then.
They're probably in hell.
When Jenna told me this, she couldn't hold back her tears and cried quietly to avoid being caught by Sarah. Playing around casually and treating a precious life irresponsibly for selfish reasons. This is not something that should be condoned. And according to Jenna, it happened 6 times.
Mom, I might not be a good girl right now, but please don't say that you're going to join my brothers in hell. I hate that so much because my brothers aren't in hell.
Jenna clenched her little fists and pleaded. Then, with all her strength, she shouted,
If you want to go to hell, Mom, then go by yourself.
For the first time, the obedient Jenna stood up to her mother. Sarah staggered back as if she had been shot.
Jenna, how dare you speak to your mother like that?
I know that some of my friends' moms stay home, cook, and chat with them. Sure, some are busy with work, but no one's mom is busy getting cozy with men like mine is.
at just 7 years old. Jenna had a much more mature perspective than Sarah.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Sarah's eyes flared with anger. She raised her fist, veins bulging. But then it dropped limply to her side. Her whole body went limp, and she collapsed onto the floor.
Ethan, why are you here?
Behind me stood Ethan. Sarah had noticed him and immediately lost her nerve.
You went back, right? No, wait, why are you here?
In her confusion, Ethan spoke in an even tone.
You think it's strange for me to be at home. What's really strange is the unfamiliar man in our house.
The man Ethan referred to twitched nervously.
What were you planning to do with our daughter?
Even though he was addressed directly, the man tried to remain invisible and held his breath. He wasn't going to fight back or run. He was clearly a coward.
If you won't answer, that's fine. You can explain yourself to the police.
What?
What's so surprising? You tried to buy a 7-year-old girl for 30 grand.
The man muttered quietly, but it was only an attempt. Ethan strode up to the man and grabbed him by the collar.
I don't want to hear your excuses. Get lost.
The man's legs trembled so much that if Ethan hadn't been holding his collar, he would have collapsed. Then the front door opened, and 2 police officers walked in. The man was arrested on the spot. His legs gave out, and he couldn't walk, so the officers had to drag him away like a captured alien.
Why the police? Ethan, did you call them? Why?
Ethan explained to the panicked Sarah. His expression was cold.
That story about going back to my post was a lie. Mom told me about Jenna, so I left on purpose to find out the truth.
Jenna might not have fully understood what was happening, but it wasn't lies or confusion. When I secretly passed the information on to Ethan, he admitted he had suspected something was wrong. He noticed that she had withdrawn large sums of money and often didn't answer his video calls. Jenna hadn't confided in Ethan because Sarah had always told her, "Don't talk about our family with your dad or teachers."
No, you don't understand. That guy tricked me. I was really trying to protect Jenna. I only wanted to let him take a few pictures.
Sarah tried to weakly cozy up to Ethan. But Ethan wasn't moved by her tears. In fact, he looked at Sarah with pure disgust.
I never thought you could be so foolish, Sarah.
Did you already forget? I told you earlier that we were recording everything. I pointed to a phone propped up on the living room shelf. It was one of Ethan's old phones that he had set up beforehand. By connecting it to a video call, we could see everything happening inside the house in real time. Of course, we were recording too.
I heard your call with that guy, where you said he could do whatever he wanted with Jenna.
No, that's not.
Without Ethan's help, I couldn't have been in the house to begin with. Sarah let out a silent cry. She reached out to Ethan, but he harshly pushed her away. She then turned her hand toward Jenna. But even Jenna dodged her with a sharp look. Abandoned by her family, Sarah looked up at the ceiling with a twisted expression. Then the police officers from earlier returned. One of them took the hand that her family refused to hold.
Wait, why are the police arresting me?
You did something that warrants police intervention, Sarah.
Trying to make a child do such obscene things isn't forgivable, even if it was only attempted.
Wait, no, Jenna?
Jenna stared at Sarah as she was taken away and asked,
Mom, are you going to hell?
No, I don't want to go to hell.
The officers firmly restrained Sarah and dragged her away.
No, let me go. I don't want to go.
She kicked up a fuss like a child having a tantrum. Eventually, her voice faded away, and I looked out to see the police car driving off. I heard later that, sure enough, Sarah had been cheating, acting like she was single. Since she was sure that Ethan, who was working overseas, would never find out, she was bold about it and repeatedly had unwanted pregnancies. Since it was only an attempt with Jenna, Sarah and the man both avoided prosecution. The man wasn't serious about Sarah, but if she occasionally got pregnant, he considered it a lucky break. He would have a doctor he knew take care of her, charging a higher price than usual, and the man would receive a kickback.
So I wasn't really serious. It was just for fun. I'm sorry.
The more sincerely the man apologized, the more pathetic Sarah seemed. In the end, Sarah and Ethan divorced. She cried and begged, but someone willing to sell her daughter didn't deserve any say. She was also barred from contacting Jenna. Apparently, someone had recorded her screaming and crying during her arrest, and she became known as the crying lady on social media. Although we hadn't said anything, her name and the reason for her arrest still got out. The internet can be scary. After the divorce, Sarah tried to approach Jenny again, but the neighbors quickly called the police. I heard rumors that she felt so watched, both online and offline, that she became mentally unstable. Ethan had to return overseas, so I looked after Jenna for a while. Despite all the time we'd been apart, it felt like nothing, and we were so in sync that conversation never ran out.
Hey, so, Grandma.
Jenna, overflowing with things to say, sometimes ends up rambling incoherently. Maybe she wasn't as level-headed as I thought. Her endless chatter is endearing and reminds me of her childlike nature. After a while, Jenna left to join Ethan at his new overseas post. The lively, fun times went by in a flash, and the room suddenly felt so spacious. About 3 months after Jenna moved abroad, a letter arrived in the mailbox. It was from Jenna, and it was written in French. I dusted off my old French-English dictionary and took my time reading it. Although there were a few mistakes here and there, I was thrilled to see Jenna thriving overseas. That's it, I'm going to learn French. It would be so much fun to chat with Jenna in French. Even past 60, it seems like you can still find things you want to do and dream about. When I'm fluent in French, I'm going to surprise Ethan by visiting him. With this new goal, the little bit of loneliness in my heart simply vanished. Now I'm so excited as I imagine the bright future ahead.